Hey, all, welcome to Geek Freaks. I am Frank. I'm here with Jonathan.
Well, hello.
We have so much to discuss with you guys today, like the new Minecraft animated series. We got an update on the Derry series, basically Stephen King's project. Moana 2 got a teaser, which didn't know that was a thing people cared about. And exciting updates for the Rings of Power that will get you tuning in, I think. But first, we have a very exciting announcement, guys. We mentioned it before, but it is this week. We're headed to IGN Live. We're sending our SoCal guy. Thomas is headed down there. He's going to be taking pictures and everything like that. So, John, have you heard about IGN Live?
Not really. I mean, just a little bit before, but not too much.
Yeah, in the tech strip, essentially. So, E3, it's done, right? And it was like the pinnacle of video game announcements in a video game environment. Well, IGN, one of the bigger websites that's involving video games, decided we're going to try to fill the gap. So they are starting their own convention. This is the first one ever, and we're very proud to be a part of this, and they invited us over. So what Thomas is going to be checking out down there and then sharing with all of you guys, both on all our social media accounts, and we'll be discussing it on the next Geek Freaks. The cast of The Rings of Power is going to be there. The cast of Borderlands, the new movie coming up pretty soon. There's all kinds of giveaways they're going to be doing. They're actually going to be giving away Steam Decks, which is pretty cool. They're going to have Ubisoft showing off brand new games. There's going to be a new Sonic game revealed, apparently, and so much more. So brand new video games announced, all kinds of cool people to meet. We're going to share it all on our social media, guys, so follow us over there. And then we'll discuss it on the next podcast, too. But I'm really hoping this works because, man, E3 going away, that just sucks.
Yeah, and it leaves such a big vacuum. Like, there's so much demand, and IGN sees a huge turnout. Like, I hope they just make tons of money and get tons of fan attention to this, so much so that they can reinvest this for next year and do it bigger and better each year until it's as big as E3 or better. I think that'd be amazing.
Yeah, I think you're right. It would be nice to see, like, right now it's clearly they're testing it out, but like maybe next year we actually get like Xbox wanting to pitch in and stuff like that, so that it becomes what E3 once was. I think one of the downfalls to E3 towards the end there, because we had talked to some of the ESA guys, it was costing like Xbox, I think it was $250,000 a year to present at E3, or $100,000 a year to present at E3. And it's like, without Xbox, you don't have E3 or PlayStation or Nintendo. So why is it costing them money? It should be free for them, and you should just be charging the attendees. But no, they're charging both sides. It didn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, it's costing too much money for the people that were bringing the crowd to it. Yeah,
absolutely. As for network updates, guys, we have a brand new Who's Got Next Game podcast coming out. They're doing their PS2 section of their tournament now. That's out this week. We have the Acolyte going to be covered on Challenge Accepted. So this month for Challenge Accepted, because there's 4 series coming out that we're going to be covering, we're not going to be challenging each other to movies at all this month because, I mean, like, it's not possible. So we're going to be covering 3 series, and then for the Bear, when that comes out, we're going to binge it all and then cover it all as one. We tried to do individuals last time that happened with the Avatar series. It was a nightmare. So that's what we're doing this time. And then we have Real Talks that just came out, the brand new podcast that we've been mentioning for a while now over on our Patreon. It is completely free to listen, so check it out, guys. Real Talk. We're going to be talking about movies, TV, and podcasting. So you could learn a little bit more about podcasting, what it's like to be reviewing stuff, all kinds of things like that. And then the last little announcement here is that we have our Patreon giveaway winner, and this winner is going to be Scott. Scott, thank you very much for being a patron member. You won a Snowball microphone. It's headed your way. All right, let's go ahead and get into the news.
All right. First thing we got from the news, Frank, you mentioned it earlier, but Moana 2, there's been a teaser out. It was so surprising. I don't know, maybe there was leaks out before about it. I haven't heard much, but we know there's a live action Moana movie in the making. And then all of a sudden we see this Moana 2 animated movie. It was just kind of such a surprise. I'm not against it. I'm definitely going to watch it. You know, the first one was a good movie. Sequels usually aren't as great, but I'm still hopeful. But I'm just super surprised to see a Moana sequel. What do you think?
We just don't need it. Moana 1 was great. The story was complete. I don't think it's needed, really. Is there something missing from the first movie you want to explore?
Not really. I'm hoping that they surprise us with some kind of new twist we didn't expect. So this one is just, shortly after, maybe 10 years later, 5 years later, something like that. You see she's older teen, maybe she's a young adult, something like that. She has a little sister, I think it looks like. You see her parents older with a small child. and then her mission to some extent is to like travel to the other islands to reunite her people who've all separated over the generations. And that's great. I'm sure that, there's going to be a good message in that and whatnot. But yeah, I don't see like the real big hook to the story. I'm sure they're going to have great music. The previous movie,
that's the kind of the thing that's carrying me. Yeah.
And the merch sales and just the age group is just like Frozen. It just is magic for these little kids at the right age. So I think it'll do good for Disney in general. But as an older, Disney fan, I don't know if it will, I'm going to watch it regardless, but I don't know if it'll have, a whole lot for me specifically.
Hopefully the music's really good, because I think that's one thing that Disney still knocks out of the park a lot of times. Wish I know was not the case, but Encanto, the first Moana, I mean, of course, Frozen was on a loop in everybody's cars. So that's a biggie. They got a bunch of Grammy winners for this one. Lin-Manuel Miranda did the last one. So hopefully there's something there. But we'll have to do a deep dive on. So Thomas from the Challenge Accepted podcast, he's from Hawaii. And I asked him, like, well, what do you think about the new Moana trailer? And he's like, actually, we're not big fans of Moana where I come from. And he explains that we talked about it a little bit more, but essentially it's not like directly from the islands. It's a fictional world, essentially, this Oceania. And so they pull inspirations from a lot of different cultures. When you're in the cultures, it's super obvious. So it's kind of hard to pay attention to sometimes. So once we get closer to the release of this, which will be November 27th, 2024, we'll do a episode of maybe Challenge Accepted, or maybe we'll do something on here, and we'll have Thomas explain all that for us. So we can learn more about it. I think that'd be interesting.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But hopefully it adds something that we needed. I mean, it's going to be more. I mean, it's not going to be a bad movie, I think, because I liked Moana a lot. So it's just not something I necessarily needed.
Yeah, that was my first reaction when I saw it. She was like, "Who asked for Moana 2?" The first one, I think, it was a good, complete story in whole in itself. But we'll see. I wouldn't have been as surprised if there was going to be a following series, but to be just a sequel movie, like, I really hope they put the money into making it good, because sequels are, notoriously not as great as the original.
That was the go-to in the 90s. Remember how we had the Aladdin series? It was so freaking good.
Little Mermaid was
Little Mermaid. That's the other one. Yeah.
Amazing.
So good.
Such a good series based on a good movie. But the sequel movies from those were just okay. Like,
just okay.
Usually not worth watching in theaters, but you'll get the VHS when it's, in stores.
They generally went straight to VHS too. So you knew they weren't going to be crazy good, but you're like, oh, what the heck, Even Hercules had a really good sequel series. It was him back at school.
Series. Yeah. In high school with friends and stuff.
Let's bring that back, guys. Like, I'm cool with that idea. Disney Plus, you need content. Shit, just make your shows.
I think they do. I think they're doing both and more. They're like, how many different ways can we diversify to make money off this single IP?
Yeah, but Moana's gonna have a TikTok channel in no time.
Exactly. Okay, so moving on, we also got Netflix announced a Minecraft animated series. So another one where we have a Minecraft live action movie coming out, and then all of a sudden we hear, like, wait a minute, they're making an animated series off it. To me, I love Minecraft. It's such a fun game to play, and I was kind of excited to hear the live action series has Jack Black and was it Jason Momoa, I think, is in it Jason as well. Momoa. Yeah. So they're putting some money into it and having good actors, and Jack Black, who's also a fan. It's fun to know that he likes what he's working on. But then, so this animated series, I'm worried a little bit hesitant that it's just going to be a cash grab, because we've seen some really great movies and series based on video games, but there's been plenty that are just cheap, kind of cheesy, because someone recognizes the name, because your grandma recognizes the name of the game that you played. They're going to buy it for your birthday or whatever. And so I'm afraid that this might be one of those, but I'm hopeful. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm hopeful as well, because I think what they're probably doing is Minecraft, the movie, might be for a more mature audience, and the animated series might be for a younger audience, or it could be vice versa. But I think like at least 4 quadrants. I think the Minecraft movie will be 4 quadrants, where it'll be for like all ages, and maybe the animated series will be just for kids. They did say it's not going to involve Steve, so Steve's story will be in the movie, not in the series, which will be good.
I'm wondering, I mean, I don't know how much Microsoft has, invested in this, because it was such a big deal when it first came out. Minecraft was this weird viral success that came from nothing and blew up to be huge, like Fortnite and some other games. All of a sudden is just a cash cow that wasn't expected. I'm wondering if they expect that to keep going, in which case they're trying to build out this like Minecraft world that they can expand, and it's going to be like the MCU of Minecraft kind of thing that they can, get at it from all these different angles. I don't know. I could imagine them trying to build it, and then someday down the road having a Minecraft theme park and stuff like that. But
Minecraft fandom is so interesting because they want more, but they'll slap back if it's not good enough. Mm-hmm. So we've had in the past where they do this whole like voting thing for what the next animal will be. That worked for a couple of years, but then suddenly the fandom's like, no, you're going to give us all of them. You're going to stop us from choosing. And they just demanded it, and things happened, right? They've kind of done that quite a bit. Like they did it in Minecraft Dungeons. It's like, no, it's not the same support. We don't want that. They slapped back on that. And so the Minecraft community, those who are still around, it's still a very popular game, will tell them how it's supposed to be done. Unlike other things where I think Fortnite kind of just eats it up. I think everybody in Fortnite just eats up everything they can get. So
I think there's often like this filter between the consumer and the creator. And yet it seems like in Minecraft, there's this direct like communication between the two of this is what we want. And the people who are putting in the keystrokes to make it are hearing that. I don't know what that filter is, but maybe it's between the sale, the point of sale process or something like that. But Minecraft seems to be very direct to consumer.
It must be from its indie origins, right? Because if we think of other indie titles, a great example is Satisfactory, where when the fans want something from Satisfactory, when they give feedback to Coffee Stain, they make it happen as much as they possibly can. And that direct communication, and they put out videos explaining what's going on, and like
very good videos. Yeah, I love seeing their updates and stuff like that. It's like, oh, these guys are so engaged with their audience and their community. They are literally putting in the effort to build a community around their game. And it's like, cool, I want to see what this turns out. Like, what are those orbs going to end up being someday when they are finally done developing it, Like, give us a hint.
Sea of Thieves does the same thing. They actually have like at the Rare Studios, like a little Sea of Thieves room that looks all piratey. But that kind of direct communication, I think, comes from its indie roots. And so the fandom that's been there since the beginning, like you and I, who were there day one, we're used to telling Notch at the time, hey, this is what we want, and him answering basically. And so when Microsoft came in and bought it, they bought the fans too, and the fans didn't get less vocal saying like, oh, it's Minecraft now, or it's Microsoft now, we don't do anything. No, you got those guys as well. So I think that might be when Ubisoft puts out a AAA title or whatever, or EA, we generally don't expect to be able to give feedback because we know it's not going to be listened to. I think that might be the case. Yeah,
we think the cake is already baked at that point. It's already done. There's no adding ingredients. But when it's an indie title and it's still in development, then it's like, well, what do you think about if we add this? Or, are you guys ever going to finish that part of it? And things like, so it's not done yet. We can still have a little bit of input or even just questions about it. But when it's a finished title, then it's like, oh, well, it's already done. Maybe next time they'll do better. And your input is just maybe to, influence the future development of other games.
Yeah, Satisfactory is like the best version of that, John. Like you're saying, with that, the cake is being made right now, and we're all helping out with the ingredients, saying what kind of flavor we like, and it is such a wonderful experience as a consumer, as a video game player, watching the development from Coffee Stain. So much so that now I trust that studio with everything they make now. Coffee Stain, they may also do Goat Simulator. Who knew? But like the next thing they make, I know I'm going to be invested in it because I see how they react to us already with this one. I'm here for the long haul. And rarely does a company, Rare is one of them, rarely does a company instill that anymore in their audience. Blizzard used to be known for it. They're not anymore. So yeah, it'd be nice to get some more of that.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that in them. And there was one other thing I was going to say about, Satisfactory. Such a fun game. Unfortunately, I can't play it anymore because my computer can't handle it now.
The latest video, they said they're working on that. It's because when they had to go upgrade to, well, they didn't have to, but they upgraded to Unreal Engine 5. And even for my computer, it struggles.
It's heavy.
Yeah, it's heavy. And it doesn't help that I have like half the world already freaking factorized.
That's what I'm saying. I have such a big factory built. I'm like, I don't want to restart, but I think I need to be able to play it successfully. But I was tempted to the other day. I was like, I got like an hour. Let me get on. I might just start a new world or start a new build. But yeah, such a fun game. I love it.
It is. It's something else.
All right, moving on. I'm sure. Well, you touched on this in the intro also. That Bill Skarsgard is returning for Pennywise in the Max series Welcome to Derry. Now, I love this. This is amazing. He did such a good job at Pennywise. I can't imagine like a modern generation of Pennywise being anything else. He nailed it. I hate to draw these comparisons and offend people because it's going to make everyone mad, but like Heath Ledger did to Joker, I feel like he did with Pennywise. As so well done. And so I was seeing that they're going to make the series. I had imagined either they're not going to show Pennywise and he's just going to be a mysterious dark shadow kind of thing, or if they're going to show him, it's got to be Skarsgård. There's no other way to do it, right?
Well, I was really worried when they was first announced this because they weren't mentioning Skarsgård or Pennywise at all. So I thought, oh, this is going to just be about Derry. We kind of have that with Castle Rock, this Hulu series. It's like, oh, it's just basically all the stuff going on with King. So I was a little worried about that. But yeah, you guys got Bill Skarsgård back, who I like how you mentioned the Heath Ledger thing. I think what it is, we didn't think anything could replace Tim Curry's version of it, like the old school one. But then we just got a new standard and we like, okay, it's not that it's replacing it. It's just this is a different interpretation that is phenomenal as well. You know?
Exactly. This is an art form and this is a different piece of art and we love it. It was a good interpretation of it. Yeah,
so they could not make this without Bill Skarsgård. If they brought in a different it, which is what I thought they were going to do, if they bring up any Pennywise, it'll be a different one just because it's cheaper. But it is Max. It's not like Peacock or something like that doing that. Max already hires the other Skarsgårds for a lot of movies, a lot of their series, Succession and whatnot. So this does make sense.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I can't wait though. I mean, so on a side note, do you know if they're making another like sequel movie or anything like that?
I don't know, and I think this is going to be 27 years before the movies that we saw because it's every 27 years that he comes back, and so it should be a new batch of kids, either in the past or in the future, because it could be set like 20. I don't know I forget what the years were on the last one, but it could be like 2024, and then just like the last one was in 98. I don't remember 97, whatever. Yeah, we'll have to see.
I'd like to see too if they did a series or a movie, maybe a series. Series seem to be so good nowadays. Even a miniseries, 8-10 episodes, that's cool. I mean, but to see one set back in like the founding of the town, we saw those black and white pictures of him with the founders and stuff like that. It's like, oh man, that'd be so cool because I don't know, they could do so much where these people don't suspect, a monster of any kind. Well, I mean, I guess they do it in every iteration, but. I don't know. It'd be so cool to see him back in that time era.
Well, if it's not there, it could be like in the 30s area, or it could be in the 50s. And I think the 50s would be really good, really cool too, just because I think the aesthetics of the 50s is very identifiable. Like the Johnny Rockets kind of look is so identifiable that it'll take you right there. But the earliest version of that, you're right. Both in the newer movies and the 80s, they showed pictures of like the old time circus that he came from kind of thing. So that would be really smart. That'd be cool. If
they really wanted to play around with it too, they could do like a modern time story with flashbacks to where it's like, a grandpa telling his grandkids about this monster from when he was a kid, and it's parallel to what they're experiencing, and so we get to see kind of his life of trying to avoid Pennywise, or discovering what he is, and then some of his friends got murdered, so he decided to just like, oh no, I got to pretend I don't know about this or whatever to stay alive. I don't know. It'd be cool to see a little bit of a time jump or something.
The hard part with it and Pennywise is it inevitably gets to the point where you're like, oh, that's right, it's a big spider. I love everything about it until the very end when it's like, that's right, it's just a whole freaking spider thing and not the killer clown.
But is it physically a giant spider always?
I think it's just the representation of fear, and it's depicted as a spider.
Exactly. Freddy Krueger style. So I think because they're afraid at the time of a clown, or they're afraid of, they're in a dark space, maybe they're afraid of spiders. So that gives you so much more to work with. What are you afraid of? This thing can turn into Jafar's version of a snake and be chasing you through the sewers, or whatever it is you're afraid of. And it can, you don't want to full on Freddy Krueger it to where it's changing shapes all the time, but it can be a slightly different version of itself, in the climactic scenes, and really kind of get under your skin.
Yeah, we'll have to see. The new movies handled the spider thing pretty well, I think. The older ones did not. It was just like a big fake spider. It was pretty bad. So
It's just the tools they had at the time.
Of course, yeah. Everything else about that whole thing was amazing.
Yeah.
All right, let's move. So speaking of how great TV is nowadays, we have confirmation that they're working on a Vision series because we haven't seen Vision since WandaVision. It's good to see him coming back. What do you think about that?
So where did we leave off in WandaVision? I remember. Well,
There's
he was
White
being
Vision. You remember
manipulated by
White Vision?
her. Yeah. Because he was being manipulated by her the whole time.
Yeah.
But he was like an undead version of himself, right?
Right. Yeah. And so
she
then there's
resurrected
White
him
Vision,
with her power.
which is kind of like a blank slate, and then resurrected Vision gave him all the memories of him, and then he flew off to kind of find himself again. So I'm hoping that this new series, there's a comic book run where Vision basically tries to make his own family, and Jonathan, you're gonna freak out, dude. It's essentially the Doctor from Voyager making his own family episode.
Oh God, that's such a good episode too. Yeah, so it obviously is going to work out. You try to use robotic perfection and mix it with humanity, which don't mix because humans are naturally completely flawed.
That's the part of being human is the flawed part.
Yeah. But it's a beautiful mix when you try to do the two.
It's you know that episode. You're freaking crying at the end.
So yeah, for sure. Oh man.
So I'm hoping that Disney Plus will let them go that deep. That kind of story would be fantastic.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can't see them not telling that story because in the end you're gonna feel so bad for Vision and want him to be able to understand like what it is to really be human and really feel that love that he's trying to get from a family that he's creating and he can't create love. God damn.
What if he's missing that love so much and he doesn't kind of compute it yet, and then he realizes towards the end, oh, it's Scarlet Witch. That's the whole thing, is that I'm just missing Scarlet Witch that bad. So then he goes and finds her, who we think is dead, right? At the end of Doctor Strange 2, nobody believes she's actually dead. She's amazing.
Good movie. Yeah.
so he goes and finds her, and then then he saves her
brings
because
her back to health. Yeah.
Well, because she saved him in WandaVision, so it'd be kind of like a nice back and forth, and then they can work on getting their kids back because Scarlet Witch's kids are two of my favorite. Especially Wiccan is like such a dope character, and so they're definitely going to become part of Young Avengers, and there's no doubt about that. But yeah, I would like to get the family back together.
Yeah. So what could be the B plot if we see Vision building this family? There's got to be more to the story than that, right? Like he's trying to build this family, it fails, and he eventually saves Wanda. What else?
They specifically said it's a sequel to WandaVision, so I'd assume it's going to tie back to Wanda, probably pretty handedly. I would assume.
Yeah, because we saw in WandaVision there was that whole story with the agents. I don't remember their names, but
yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
Monica Rambeau was one of them,
right? Which she's now in the X-Men universe.
Yeah. Okay.
Because of Marvel.
So I'm sure they'll have to do something else going on in the background to have a second story going. But
that's a great point, though. Yeah, because the beginning of WandaVision, we learned that the reason that they're so invested in this whole thing is because they were trying to make a new Vision, but controlled by America. And so we could definitely be seeing the American government trying to capture Vision again, which would tie in nicely with what's going on with the Thunderbolts, where they're trying to make an American Avengers, and basically America's trying to control the superheroes on the board. And that would be a really good kind of tie-in with that complicated story that we're going through right now.
Yeah, or after Doctor Strange 2, we don't know what happens with Wanda. Maybe her remains or whatever's left of her is captured by the American government, and they have her deep underground in a bunker, and they're trying to find a way to just let's just draw a little bit of this energy off of her, this magic. Yeah. Let's bottle it and use it to make our own, Tony Stark's suits or whatever. Use her energy for something. And that's where Vision ends up finding her eventually and, saving her, resurrecting her, whatever.
That reminds me of Venture Brothers, when there's the fake Fantastic Four in Venture Brothers. And for Human Torch, all they do is just put him in a chamber and have him burn and power the entire building with him. And he's just being burned the entire time.
Yeah, suffering. I forgot about that.
That show is so metal. Oh, man. But yeah, we've talked about it a few times now, but Disney's kind of going in a new area where they're let's stick with the people that work. So you could tell that they're playing down some of the newer stuff that they're doing. And bringing back Vision, good. One of the original Avengers or pretty early Avengers, that's pretty perfect. That's a good way to go.
Great actor. If you guys haven't seen A Knight's Tale, go watch it.
Oh my God, Paul Bettany. I know. And they're bringing a sequel of Knight's Tale, by the way. But
what?
Oh no. Sorry. It was canceled. They tried to make a sequel to A Knight's Tale, and it was canceled. They decided not to do it, but they were going to do it based off of Heath Ledger's daughter. Like she has to pretend to be a man to become a knight, which would have been the same story as the first one.
So good.
It's perfect. And like I put that out there in the social media verse, the story, and I explained it, and so many people were like, on either side are like, you can never make anything without Heath Ledger, and also, why the hell did they cancel this?
Right? Oh my God, that would be so good. I would totally be okay with them. I mean, it was such a good movie. You can't change it, but I'd be okay with them doing a reboot with a new cast and stuff like that, and then carrying it on to tell that story as a sequel.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it was just such a good movie on its own. Great cast, but if you were to do a reboot, I think that'd be fine too.
It's hard to explain the impact of that movie coming out, because there was this weird thing where they used modern music and that was so jarring and just was the coolest vibe that I think kind of escalated that movie beyond just being a cool story about knights. And it also kind of made it like, it took a sport that we were all familiar with, but actually like gave it rules and was a cool sport. Jousting all of a sudden was like, oh, okay, I know how jousting works now. That movie was really awesome.
And when you do jousting with a little bit of classic rock music, all of a sudden it's just like a badass dude thing and not like a dumb ego. These guys are fighting each other, but all of a sudden it's, monster trucks. It's cool.
Yeah, exactly that. Oh, man. Okay, let's go to the Rings of Power. It was just revealed that the Vanity Fair posted a picture of it. They took a picture of Tom Bombadil being in the books or in the new series. So I kind of wanted to explain Tom Bombadil. John, you're not familiar with that character, correct?
No.
Okay.
Pretty much not at all.
So I haven't read Lord of the Rings since I was in high school, guys, 20 years ago. Oh my God, I'm ancient.
So old, Jesus.
Dude, my 20-year anniversary, my 20-year reunion, whatever is this year, and like Joya and Tiffany and stuff like, hey, you gonna go? Hell no, I haven't seen those people in 20 years. I don't care what they're doing. They don't care what I'm doing.
Totally go. Oh my God.
Oh heck no, man, no way.
Get a custom hat that says Senior Sexy on it.
See, you're exactly selling me out of it. I don't want anything to do with that old Frank.
Come on.
That was such a dork. Oh, God. Okay. So, Tom Bombadil, he's a character in the books where Frodo and crew leave the Shire and they run into Tom Bombadil, and he's a really interesting character, but he's not included in the Peter Jackson movies at all. So, they're actually putting him in Rings of Power, which he's kind of ageless, so that works okay. I thought I'd go through a list of things about him to kind of give everybody a little bit of grounding on this character. Yeah. So, Tom Bombadil is a character from Tolkien's Middle-earth legendarium, appearing in the Fellowship of the Ring. So, again, right after they leave the Shire. He's described as merry, enigmatic figure with bright blue eyes, a long brown beard, a blue coat, and is usually wearing bright yellow boots. So, he's like... That right there tells you he's not sticking in with everybody else.
Yeah. He's the walking party right there. Bright yellow boots. I like it.
He lives in the Old Forest near the village of Bree, which that's the Bree's the place they go to where they meet Aragorn. In a house with his wife Goldberry, who is the River Daughter. So that's complicated there. We don't need to go too far into that. He's cheerful, whimsical, seemingly carefree. That's really important about him, is like he's so omnipotently powerful, where like I've heard it described that he can't beat Sauron, but he's so powerful he doesn't have worries, and also like not sharing his knowledge. It's interesting. He helps the hobbits, Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin, when they are trapped by an old man, Willow, and again when they are caught by the Barrow-wight. Provides them all with guidance and supplies for their journey, but he doesn't like really help them a lot. Like as much as powerful as he is, he doesn't help beyond that. His origin and true nature are left deliberately ambiguous by Tolkien. Speculations range from him being an ancient spirit of nature to an embodiment of the natural world. So that's how powerful he could be. He could literally be the embodiment of nature. That kind of shows how tough he is. He represents the timelessness, unchanging aspects of the world. His inclusion highlights themes of nature, resistance to corruption, and the limits of power. So the reason Tom Bombadil's in the story is because he represents nature, while humans and orcs and elves and all that are fighting and dying. Trees are still going to be growing every day. Things just nature's going to keep going no matter what we do. And it kind of shows the fruitlessness of death and war, because you have life that'll always keep going.
Yeah. So, like, he would be the perfect one to intervene in Two Towers when Saruman burns down an entire forest, right?
I wonder if he, well, yeah, I mean, like, it kind of makes sense that he would do that, but also he knows that like life's going to grow wherever you burn trees, it'll grow again. And so if he's ageless, he's just like, Saruman will die. They always die. They always come back.
He has no interest in war of any kind. It seems like, okay.
Because he's seen so many, like Saruman's just the latest warlord. I've seen so many of them, and I'll see many more.
Yeah, so it's almost like he's a time traveler. Like he knows what's going to happen. He'll come in and he'll kind of bump things in a certain direction, but not interfere in too big of a way because he doesn't want to completely, ruin everything that's going to happen, but can make small changes.
So you brought up a comparison to him earlier when I was kind of talking about him a little bit before we pressed record. What was it that you compared him to? And I was like, that's perfect.
Oh gosh. Oh, like Q in Star Trek, where that's actually the way you describe him now. That makes so much more sense too. He's so omnipotently powerful. What do you do when you can have everything, do everything, change everything? You get so bored. It's like if you had unlimited money, buying things wouldn't be fun anymore. You get so bored that you just want to go play around. And so you go play with these weaker people that have limited lives. You only live like 100 years. That's ridiculous. I don't have an end. I live infinitely. And so, you see millennia passing by and you just stop by and want to, destroy an entire civilization or make these ones the lords of those ones, or, see if you can make a planet that's 100% lava or something, whatever you get. Yeah. It's like Minecraft when you run out of stuff to do.
Or when you find one simple mortal that will die in a blink of an eye in your existence, and you just want to like hang out with them and test them all the time with like Jean-Luc Picard and then later on Catherine Janeway. Yeah. And so it's just kind of like, they're just interesting. And so like Tom Bombadil, the way he's interested in the Hobbits reminds me of that. Like, I've seen suns fall, but I've seen so many things, and yet look at these 4 little adventures. It kind of reminds me of that. So,
yeah, that's crazy.
I'm interested to see this Tom Bombadil, see how he's depicted in TV, because I think that was going to be tricky. He's a very hard, like we're talking right now, kind of very hard character to really pin down. So I'm hoping they don't define him too much. I hope he has fun, hangs out, shows how powerful he is, but also like doesn't intervene too much with the story.
I think though, if you keep him vague, people are going to want answers. People are going to be like, oh my God, we need more of this guy. He was so cool. He came in, he can do anything. And then all of a sudden we don't know the limits of his power or where he went after this or where he came from. I think people are going to demand some kind of answers.
But that's what happened with Q, though, right? And every time we get a little bit more Q lore, I mean, we had the Q War pop up and Q's son, which is one of the best stories. Yeah. They just kind of feed us little pieces of lore that expand it, and all of a sudden that's all we talk about for a long time. And I think they can totally do that with Tom.
And I love how they'll show things of the continuum, of the Q continuum, in ways that we understand. So we see that whole Civil War battle where it's like, well, your human brains can't understand the weapons that we're using or even the plane of existence we're on. So we're going to make it look like it's dirt and trees and these are bullets instead of super psychic energy beams or whatever, whatever it is we fight with. That's crazy.
I want to watch Star Trek again.
More Star Trek, please.
All right. So that's going to be it for us on the news. I think we're heading off into our watch list time.
Yes. All right. Going over our watch list, there is so many good things to watch. I think we're just kind of starting to kick off the summer, watching season, summer shows and movies. So for Netflix, if you guys haven't seen Sweet Tooth, it is such a good show. Check it out. Season 3 is coming out June 6th, which I think by the time you're hearing this is any day.
Yeah. I still have to watch season 2, I realized. I thought I'd seen season 2, but I still got to watch that.
It is good. So if you guys haven't seen it, it's about like there's this, I think it's a disease that goes around or whatever that makes it to where, it's a disease. They're trying to find a cure for it, but it makes it to where children are born as hybrids of half child, half of a certain kind of, whatever kind of animal. So the main kid is half deer. But then it's like, all these kids have these new weird, limits and at the same time special abilities because they're all half animal. And then there's a lot of people that are like, no, those are monsters and we need to destroy them. So it makes this kind of a Civil War post-apocalyptic situation.
Yeah, it's one of the things, like the disease that makes the mutant kids also kills a bunch of people. So there's also like they have immunity to everything. So people are kind of mad at them already with that too.
Yeah. So it's crazy. It's well done to where it's not too scary for young kids, I don't think. It's for the most part family friendly. And just, I think it's an all around good, I mean, a heartbreaker sometimes, but for the most part, good show.
Yeah.
So not for kids. If you guys got Amazon Prime, you got to check out The Boys. Such a good show. Season 4 is coming out June 13th. Definitely not kid friendly. But it's a novella type, super dramatic story, but told through the lens of superheroes. So imagine it's not like a superhero show. It's like a super dramatic action, intense show, but it happens to be that these people all have superpowers of some sort or don't, and they're trying to take out the soups. It's just super cool dynamic they have.
Miguel's looking for something new to watch, so I was suggesting the show to him, and I told him, like, definitely make sure the kids are asleep. But it is so insane. But I kind of like was explaining the whole speedster killing Huey's girlfriend in the beginning. I'm like, that is the mildest thing that happens in that show, and it's still crazy. Yeah. So I'm hoping he gives it a shot. I think it's because he's watching the Flash series, and he's like on season 4 right now or whatever, and he's kind of asking questions, and he's like, I don't like that they're talking about this. I'm like, I told him, like, Miguel, it's just gonna get sillier. I'm sorry, buddy. Like, you need to just stop watching it. Honestly, I don't want you to be turned off of all comic book shows because you watched Flash all the way through, and he's not a comic book guy, so it's like it gets ridiculous.
And that's where this show really comes in good. I can't stress enough. Don't watch it because you're a superhero fan. Watch it because you're an action drama show fan, and it's about superheroes also. If you specifically want something that's, only about superheroes, this might not even be something you like, but I think it's super dramatic. It's heads exploding, and it's insane. It's insane.
Scratches the hero itch though, like when Homelander's fighting his dad or whatever, which is like basically Captain America. Like those are just really cool action scenes as well. But
what I feel like is it kind of reminds me of the show Heroes that we used to watch back in the early 2000s, but cranked up to like super rated R, where that was like PG-13 and family friendly. This is like a hardcore version of that show to some extent.
One thing we're learning from all the marketing, I want to make sure to kind of put this out there now. If you're watching The Boys this whole time and you realize that this season got really political, you haven't been watching The Boys this whole time. The point of The Boys is that there's this political undertone and fascism, and that's what Homeland is representing, yada, yada, yada. You guys should have been catching this whole time. But this one, they're hammering it into your head because every poster has been Homelander running for president. All the marketing, all his campaign stuff is very mirroring some other political people that we're very well aware of. So get ready for that. They're going to be hammering it home, and I can't wait for all the tweets and stuff like that from bros to be like, wait a minute.
And it's a TV show. Don't get mad about it. If you don't like it, watch something else, but it's meant for your entertainment.
There's going to be a bunch of people who didn't realize that they're being made fun of or whatever. This is commentary on something. And then all of a sudden be like, I think there's something going on here. It's like people who watch X-Men and be like, wait, I don't identify with any of the people that are the outsiders. Like, no, you're the ones yelling at the outsiders. You know? It's that whole thing.
You're the ones trying to cure them.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly that. Oh my God.
Oh, it's terrible. I love TV. I love sci-fi. All right. So we still have on Hulu, we got June 27th. I think we've talked about this last episode too, but we got The Bear coming, season 3. This is one of those shows that I've watched a couple episodes. I really did not watch it, but I promise I will binge it soon. Cause so many people have told me like, oh my God, you haven't watched The Bear. Like it's so good. So I'm going to watch it.
It's anxiety inducing, Jonathan. I tell you, man, it gets you like, oh God, I got to stop watching this. I'm just like sick to my stomach.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. And this is the first time they're doing something like this where they're releasing all episodes at once on June 27th. So that'll be exciting. So take your Xanax before watching this, guys. Be ready for this one. Yeah.
So this next one, I might have to take a week off of work. I'm not sure. Yes. Maybe just a couple days. Yeah, I can make it a long weekend. House of Dragon season 2 is coming out June 16th on Max, HBO Max, or however you want to call it. The last season was so good. I said the first season.
So good. I need to rewatch it actually.
Yeah, I started. I haven't finished watching. I'm on like the 3rd episode, but I need to rewatch them all before this comes out because such a good show. And as all Game of Thrones stuff, that's so many families and people that it's hard to remember the names of the houses and stuff like that. But good to keep it fresh in your mind when you're going to watch the new series.
So this is one of the shows. The Boys and the Acolyte that we're going to be covering every week over on Challenge Accepted. For the premiere, would you like to join us on Challenge Accepted for that one? For just the premiere
definitely.
release?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll be on.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, anytime I get to go back to Westeros, I'm fully on board.
Yeah.
I'm one of those guys where every time there's a new announcement of a spinoff, you're like, I roll my eyes for like half a second, then I'm like, all right, I'm excited for more. Okay.
Right? Like, I don't want to get that MCU fatigue, but at the same time, I'm like, the more you can give us, the better.
We're nowhere near it yet, so I'm on board.
We're far from it. Yeah. And they do a good job. I mean, honestly, I think to their credit, I think that's part of what makes it so exciting is they do a good job at prolonging it, stretching it out, making us wait so long for it. If they did like Marvel, where every year there's 2, 3, 4 movies and they become, boring, or they become, the same thing over and over, then we wouldn't be interested in it. But they stretch it out, and we're always hungry for
like
more Game of Thrones. Yeah. So give it to us a little bit faster.
Yeah.
But yeah, you did touch on it too. The Acolyte is coming out. That's going to be June 4th. So I think
it's coming out the day this podcast comes out, ideally.
Nice. Yeah. So check it on Disney Plus, The Acolyte. Just the first 2 episodes. But I mean, Star Wars hasn't done us wrong, I don't think. Everything they put out has been pretty damn
Even
good.
the bad shows, man, I'm on board with. The Obi-Wan Kenobi, nobody liked that. I enjoyed the heck out of it. You know, so it was more Star Wars. The key with this, though, are you familiar with the High Republic?
Not really. And there was a comic series that came out not too long ago, right?
There's a book series, comic series. The comic series, I will say, is painfully dull. So don't bother with the comic book series. But Squeaks is liking the books. He's been reading the books.
Okay.
And I wrote up a little bit of an article kind of explaining the High Republic for people who are completely new to it. But I'll just go real fast through the highlights here. There's 2 major... It's roughly between 500 to 100 years before the events of the old movies. So they call it BBY, the Battle of Yavin, which is when the Death Star blew up. And so think about 100 years in the past. This is going to be taking place towards the end of the High Republic, so it's about 100 years in the past. The key with the High Republic is Jedis are on top. They're untouchable. Nice. They're truly the bastions of hope and everything like that. So whenever you're watching the movies nowadays and they talk about how great the Jedis used to be, it's this time.
So
they
were
on top.
They're like the police of the galaxy, right?
The Federation of the Galaxy, John. We'll go with that.
Okay.
We'll bring it back to Star Trek. The police, yes, but not like that generally.
I mean, their role, the people who are wielding lightsabers, their role is as law enforcement, right? To keep people safe.
Protectors. Yeah. Not necessarily like laws, but just kind of like, balance, basically, is the idea. And so there's all kinds of new characters we're going to be able to meet. There's going to be new lightsabers. We know like Vanessa's going to have the lightsaber whip, which is very different. Things like that. There's the Wookiee and stuff like that. We're going to be meeting all them. There's the main 2 bad guys. There's one, I forget what they're called, but they're basically these like half nature, half creature like zombie like characters that they have to worry about, that they're always running around. And then there's the Nihil, that's it. And they are these outsiders with like advanced transwarp technology that or trans hyperspace technology, I guess. And they're the real threat to the Jedis at this time. Now, this is the end of the High Republic, so I don't know how much of a problem they're going to be, because we know that a Sith enters the field, and the Sith haven't been around for a while at this point. So that's kind of a new bad guy. It's the beginning of the fall of the Jedi. There are 3 phases to the High Republic: the Quest of the Jedi, the Light of the Jedi, the Trials of the Jedi. This will be taking place during the Trials of the Jedi. We have a ton of new characters. I'm not going to go over them all, but over on our website, guys, I literally wrote down like all the little bios that we've gotten so far. A couple of the key ones I want to make sure to mention is Vernestra. If you're reading the books or the comic books, Vernestra is kind of young in those. Like we even have like a children's book that's her as a young Jedi learning how to be a Jedi. She's now a vet and a pro, and she's the one with the lightsaber whip. She's all green. She's going to be real popular. Kel Neka is the Wookiee, who's he's leads a solitary life. He's by himself, but he's a Jedi Wookiee, and he's super cool. So we're going to be meeting a lot of these people. But again, there's all write-ups on our website, guys. And it looks like it's super cool. I really enjoy the cast. It's got Lee Jung-jae from Squid Games. The main guy from Squid Games is going to be in this.
That's right.
So yeah, and then we got Carrie Ann Moss from Trinity from Matrix playing a Jedi. So I'm like, yeah, I'll take both those for sure. There's a lot of good people in this.
Yeah. I'd be interested to see something that shows like the original development of a lightsaber, the dawn of the lightsaber. So show that there's like this group of Jedis, this, organization starting to form and stuff like that. And they're fighting for peace in the galaxy and balance and all this stuff. But show them using just blasters, or that they don't have weapons in general, and that somehow, and that, by the power of the Force or whatever, they come across this technology or develop this technology to make a lightsaber, and then it's, that is to be the weapon of peace, or the tool to create balance in the galaxy, or something like that. And then they create a bunch of them, and it's dispersed amongst their people. But to see like the origins of that, I think would be kind of cool if they made that story.
There is a movie in the development that's going to be like the first Jedi, and hopefully that comes with the first lightsaber as well. But it'll probably be the foundational, like, what separates good and dark side, because if you're somebody who could just kind of feel magic, essentially, I don't know how you'd be able to realize what the difference is between good and bad. Something has to tell you that. And there are like some supernatural characters in Star Wars canon that can do that. So maybe we'll get something along those lines. But yeah, that one takes place thousands of years before all of this. And so I've talked about it before, but I really hope we actually get like medieval looking Jedis.
Yeah,
that would be incredible.
That'd be so cool. Yeah. I mean, so that'd be well before the technology is developed, where they do have some mediocre Force, they can't, swing a lightsaber in midair or something like that, but maybe Force push and pull and jump or something. But that'd be pretty cool to see something like that.
Yeah, I'd be on board for that. Before we go out, I want to make sure to mention that over on Challenge Accepted, we're doing a giveaway for a $25 gift card to Fandango. Watch a movie on us. If you're cheap, if you go on those Tuesdays like me, you can watch 2 movies. Bring somebody with you. Tuesday's the best day to go. But yeah, so we're doing a giveaway over at Challenge Accepted, and again, we're covering every episode of Acolyte. So come hang out with us, guys. Jonathan, any recommendations for the week?
Oh man, I'm just gonna be catching up. Right. I'm just going to be catching up on all these shows that we have the sequels, like House of Dragons. I got to finish rewatching all those so that I'm ready when the new season comes out. And The Bear. I promise soon I will binge The Bear.
Yeah. I'm going to go with that. My recommendation is, you have so many good shows coming up this month. Watch the previous seasons if you need to. And if you're in the mood for more Star Wars, I would watch Andor. I think is a really great jumping in
it's such
place
a good show.
That I think it's like everybody celebrates how good it is, but it's not hyped like, say, Mandalorian is. Yeah. Gotta watch Andor, guys, if you want some more Star Wars after this. So yeah, that's the place to go. All right, guys, that's it for us this week. Thank you very much for hanging out with us, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.